Mind is a necessary evil, but the masters of Eastern wisdom says you make it a helper, a guide, an inspiration. Do not allow it to become a barrier in the journey of the self-discovery. And the self-discovery begins with the self-inquiry. The self-inquiry is done by the intellect, but we have the mind also. We have the memory, we have the ego or the I thought. Also, the four things. All four are functional aspects of the same mind. They are one, but has four functions. A simple way to understand that we can cut the cord of evil tendencies present in the mind by self-inquiry, coming from the intellect. But as long as the mind overpowers the intellect, the intellect rationalizes how, for example, how insulting someone is right, how making anyone crazy is right, how my honey causes me the stress and the suffering. You see, all these statements where the mind has overpowered the knowledge, the intellect. So when you overpower the intellect, who overpowers the impulsive nature, the evil tendencies? First, what are the evil tendencies? Lot of things, you asked me a beautiful question, but I just want to summarize. What are the evil tendencies? Take an example. Mind says you are crazy. So mind accepts it wholeheartedly with emotions and feeling. Clear? So when it accepts completely, there is a complete identification. And the I thought and the memory that is just in the middle has not acted yet because the mind is overwhelmed by the idea, the identification, the declaration that you are crazy. Mind attracts the memory and also the ego, I thought. Now the intellect is left alone. It has to submit to the pressure of the majority. The impulsive nature of the mind, the memory. So why you are crazy? Because I met you many a times and I can prove where you are right, even that is wrong. Who rationalizes the intellect? So now what happens? The knowledge is sleeping. So when the knowledge is sleeping, what it means, we are living impulsive, habitual, instinctive life based on the animal mind, based on the reaction. When the knowledge is sleeping, in Eastern wisdom we say Satoguna is sleeping. The purity of the mind is sleeping. There is no purity. So do you have two options? Either you oppose the knowledge. What is that knowledge? The person is a person first, and crazy is a label. Because I am overwhelmed by the impressions created, associated with the feeling, My mind perceives you are crazy first in the person second. Oh, you are crazy first in the person second. And the intellect is already hijacked by the mind. Intellect has reason, wrong logic, wrong reasoning. Then what happens? Can you change that person at that moment? The answer is no. We have not only one, but millions of events taking place, and given a wrong interpretation by the mind causes what is called the impurity of the mind. Now see the another scenario. Intellect simply means knowledge. Light is light. Can you say light is darkness? That is not a knowledge. But the mind can say, oh, this light is also darkness. So knowledge is knowledge. But how this knowledge comes? By self inquiry. What is this self inquiry? Asking the questions casually. What do you mean? You are crazy. For example, I said you, and your intellect comes. Let me understand what is craziness, how craziness takes place, where and why. Answers to all the questions are located in the impulsive nature of the mind, forgetting the person as it is, forgetting the person as. So you give a label. Now the label becomes the reality. The craziness of a person becomes the reality. Who is harmed? If the other guy whom you say is crazy, he also has the same pattern of the mind, obviously he or she has to fight with you. But if the other person uses the intellect, oh, the craziness, what can he give a certification of craziness to me? No. So instead of getting upset, I laugh. What is the principle of the Eastern wisdom? Think in this way. Just imagine in this way. The ego is there, ego and the memory is there in the middle. Intellect means knowledge, simply knowledge, not overpowered by the mind. And the mind here, impulsive nature, instinctive nature. So I have an expectations from you. You did not fulfill that expectations, hence you are crazy. So I associate that with an emotion. Memory feeds me. So the memory and the ego is living in the middle. Now memory and ego takes the side of the mind. Now we have three ratio. One is the intellect. All the three overpowers and overwhelms the intellect. When it overpowers the intellect, the knowledge is sleeping. When the knowledge is sleeping, you cannot change the person at that particular moment. Why the intellect puts a wrong logic to prove that you are lazy, you are crazy, but you are a person first. Eastern wisdom offers such a beautiful way to do the self inquiry, which leads to understanding. What is understanding is knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge without consciousness is not there. So, knowledge is consciousness. So, what is that consciousness? It has no choice. What does not have a no choice? Knowledge. Knowledge is always one. So now I enter into the choiceless awareness. That is the story of all the meditation practices.